Shabbat Shalom. One of the things among the many that we missed out on the last year were the Olympics. But they are around the corner. Kind of. Sort of. Not exactly the Olympics as we are used to. Not exactly the Olympics that maybe we were hoping for. But the Olympics, nonetheless. And I don't know about you, I'm not exactly a huge sports fan kind of guy. I don't have any pennants up in my room, and I don't open the sports page first on the newspaper. But I do get excited about the Olympics. There is something amazing about that. And I will also confess to being a little bit of a patriot when it comes to the Olympics. Hearing the Star-Spangled Banner and seeing the Stars and Stripe go up over and over and over because we are the winningest most country ever, that's kind of a special feeling. I hope that you can at least agree. But I'm not 100% sure why. I mean, like I said, I'm not exactly the athletic type. I'm not exactly an athletic fan. And I don't know a single Olympian, to the best of my knowledge. I don't know anybody who's even been to the Olympics as an athlete at all, let alone somebody who has stood on one of the winners' podiums, even, bronze. I don't know any of them. And yet, when I see their joy, when I see their pride, when I see their sense of accomplishment, it moves me. It touches me. Now, hold on to that feeling. Because if you can sympathize with it, then maybe you can answer another question that has been rolling around in my mind over the last, let's say 9 days. The 9 days prior to Tisha B'Av are a special period of intensification of our preparations for this commemoration of our disasters. How is it that I am meant to feel grief for something that happened more than 2,000 years ago? How is it that I am supposed to feel sadness for people that have not only died before I was born, but whose bones have turned to dust before I was born, before my grandparents, before my great-grand, 1,000 years gone since they even lived in the earth? How is it that I am supposed to mourn the destruction of the Beit HaMikdash, the temple that stood in Jerusalem, when no one even remembers what it actually looked like? We have vague references and some interesting architectural attempts. You can see a great one at the Israel Museum in Jerusalem. But that's just a guess. It's based on some archaeology, based on a lot of speculation and a few snippets of text. But when I look at that model and then I look at the mount where it doesn't stand, how do I weep when I've never even known a temple to exist? And it's not only that, but for all the disasters of Tisha B'Av, the first temple, the second temple, the fall of Beitar, whether it be the expulsion from Spain, whether it be the Crusades, the declaration of the Crusades, whether it be the beginning of the First World War, which led inexorably to the Second and its horrors, how, when I don't know anyone who has suffered through that directly as part of my family, how am I supposed to shed a tear? Opportunities lost. So I should feel hurt that the world could have been so much different had these disasters not taken place. That is absolutely true. As some of you may know, if you've heard me do sermons in the past, I am a big counterfactual nut. I love counterfactual histories, the what-ifs that might have happened. Little changes here in the historical timeline, what would have gone a different way. They made a whole TV show called Loki about this idea. Very popular, I know, and I knew it's been great for a while. They finally listened to me at Disney. But that still requires me to look to myself to feel the grief. And that's not quite, I think, what we are meant to learn from this day of Tisha B'Av or from our celebration of the Olympics. These are not things that benefit or harm each of us personally. I do not have to have somebody in my family buried in the cemeteries of Israel for the honored dead in order to weep on Yom HaZikaron. Israel's Memorial Day. I don't have to have a relative or a friend who was killed in the towers, the Pentagon, or the planes on 9/11 to weep for those who died. I don't have to have a name, a family, a home, something that was destroyed, whether it be in the Crusades or the destructions of Jerusalem in multiple centuries, to weep for the loss. I have been gifted as a human being with the capacity to imagine the grief and the joy of other human beings. I have been given a gift to be able to see another person express their emotions, both the positive as well as the painful, and to take their emotion into myself and to feel it in me as well. This capacity for sympathy and for empathy is one of the greatest blessings that God ever gave us, because it means that when we look out from behind these lenses of our eyes, we don't just see other blobs walking in front of us. We see souls that are the same as what is lurking behind our eyes. And when we see in their face pain, we feel pain. When we see in their face joy, we feel joy. And this allows us to be connected to people that are here and those that are not here. People that live with us now and people that have been dead for 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 years. The ability to have this sense of imagination, of emotion, this ability to internalize the experiences of others, even if they have no direct relation and connection to us, this gives us a chance to ennoble our lives in a way that would be impossible if we were to lack this capacity. So when someone stands on that podium of the Olympics, it's not that I am imagining myself standing there feeling that sense of triumph and accomplishment and perhaps relief at all of the hours spent training. It is because I can feel their joy and I can celebrate with a fellow person who has that joy as somebody that represents us, humanity, at its best. And when I either hear about or know of the stories of our people or others who have died, been hurt, suffered, I can feel their pain, not to make myself sad, but to join with them in weeping that the world has brought this misery to them. Because they are my brothers and sisters. Whether I know their names or not, whether they live in my time or are long since gone, we are linked together by our common heritage, by our common humanity. On Tisha B'Av, we sharpen this sense to the extreme. We bundle the tragedies layered upon each other, and we heighten that sense to the point where we can weep for all of the countless tragedies that have befallen us, and as such befallen each other. But we use that sense of sympathy and empathy to go beyond Tisha B'Av's tears, to make sure that the day after, we work to make sure that there will be more moments of joy, that there will be more moments of triumph, more moments of success, of exultation, of love.